Alright, I'm talking about world building today, because the world building in Sky Dancers makes absolutely no sense. None whatsoever. They call all the different areas in the Sky Kingdom Sky Worlds, but it's not really ever touched upon like how close these worlds are to each other. It seems like they all take 10 minutes to fly to from one another. There's just not really a defined area of like where they are in the world. The city, Skyridium, it seems like it might be the central location to all of it because like you can just fly from Skyridium to anywhere. So the Wingdom is what they call all of it. The Wingdom is the land that Queen Skyla rules over, except for the land or sky area of Azure. Azure is an underwater world that they're still flying through, and they seem to have their own ruler, but not really because the giant flying manta ray hasn't picked a new ruler for them yet, so I guess Skyla's still the de facto ruler.
I was just feeling weak. No.
There's Skyhive, which Skyhive has some of the ugliest characters in the entire thing. Skyhive's characters look like bumblebee mermaids. Yeah, it's real gross looking.
No! Please don't! Have mercy!
Ugh, I hate them. In Azure, they don't even have wings. They've completely lost the plot of, like, sky theming. They just have, like, eel tails. It's so strange. They are the only Sky Kingdom with a different accent attributed to them, and it's like a kind of racist stereotype of Indian people.
No one must interfere with the fulfillment of the prophecy.
It's not inherently racist to have an Indian accent, right? But I'm pretty sure that they didn't get an Indian person to do this accent. Then there's Skyclones area, Sky World. I don't really know what you would define it as. They call it the Nega World. There's no real defining point of what's different about Skyclone's Sky World, except he's the one inhabiting it, so it must be evil. He lives inside this high-tech asteroid. The rest of the Sky Kingdom is pastoral, and it runs on like magic and farming, and music makes people fly and stuff like that. Where did he get all of this technology? Is he just an incredible genius? Because that's never really touched upon in his character. Did he like design a bunch of high-tech stuff and program it all and solder it all together? Where did he get this technology? The only thing remotely close to this that we ever see is from the Tinker. And the Tinker's stuff is more like, it's more mechanical in nature, it's more like clockwork type stuff. It's like old world artisan. So there was not a lot of thought put into like the whole theming of the world and everything. And it's a show that's made to push toys. So of course they're not going to put a whole lot of effort into it. This isn't like mid-2000s My Little Pony. They're not putting a ton of world building effort in. Skyridium, the main city, I guess, the capital city of the Sky World, is the one that Queen Skyla is the most present in. It's the area where she has the most sway. It's where her palace is. And you never really get a sense of how many people live here or what exactly they do. It's just the capital city. In one of the stupidest episodes, Queen Skyla decides to embezzle some money from her treasury to fund the dance school.
The royal treasury isn't exactly what it used to be. You might say it's a little low, Your Highness.
That's like the money from her people's taxes. The money she gets from the tuition in the human world of all of her dance students should be the thing that's funding her dance school. The treasury's empty, by the way. She is such an absent queen throughout this entire thing. It's just never addressed where this money went or what happened to it. They're just like, oh no, we're out of money.
Oh. This is all the gold we have left in the wingdom?
And instead of doing what a real ruler would do and be like, all right, time to raise taxes, I guess, she's like, well, let's take this ancient map and go on a magical treasure hunt. If I were any of her citizens, I would be so upset. The dance studio is not in the Sky Kingdom, the Wingdom. Sorry, I keep calling it the Sky Kingdom, but it is the Wingdom. That's what it's known as. She decides after her husband's death that, alright, I've got to go find the best, most skilled dancers and flyers ever. So I'm gonna go hang out with some high school students from the human world. And then I'll pick the 5 that I just like the most and I'll transform them into sky dancers. Even though if you're looking for people who are super competent at flying, maybe your flight-based kingdom would be the area to find the people who are good at flying. The whole world revolves around dance and music anyway, so if you're looking for good dancers, wouldn't it make more sense to find some really good flyers from your wingdom and just train them in the art of dance if that's how the magic powers work? Also, this is a sky-based world, but 2 of the areas, Skyridium and Skyhive, are set on land. Are these just slabs of land in the sky? We never get shown, like, them approaching these areas or the bottom of them or anything. So, what's going on? Is it just, like, cities and foliage on top of giant monoliths extending into the sky? Is this just some kind of big plateau somewhere? And also, the underwater world, the one where they just gave up on the sky theming. The air is denser there, and their wings won't be much use to them, but they still fly just fine in this water world, and it's never really brought up again. There's so much useless dialogue that was just written in the moment, and then it was never, like, brought back up. Ever. Let's talk about the ages of the main characters real quick, because sometimes they look 30, but they act like teenagers, except occasionally they act like they're in college. Like, there's an episode where Angelica gets in trouble because she's always sneaking off campus to go to a nightclub, and these people in the nightclub seem very, very familiar with her. This seems kind of, like, seedy and not really the best. There's a bar in the background, so, like, what's going on here? Is she, like, really breaking some rules and she's getting favors from older men to, like, sneak into this club? Like, what's going on here?
Hi, Angelica.
Speaking of Angelica, let's talk quickly about her romance with Breeze. One of the weirdest things about this show, something that makes me deeply uncomfortable.
Romantic.
So, Breeze and Angelica have an on-again, off-again thing going on for a long time in the show, but it's not really on-again, off-again. It's just sometimes they're flirting, other times they're not. Except for one episode where Breeze takes the whole group to the middle of the desert for a Native American festival. It's not really clear what's going on, why they're there, or what they're celebrating. It's just native people dancing around a bonfire. So Breeze and Angelica split off from the group and they're having a little romantic moment until Angelica gets super pushy.
Jade, hey. Camille? I'm talking best friend, like in girlfriend.
Of course you're special.
Then give me a kiss.
It's so fucking weird. You know, representation. Women can be sexual abusers too, I guess. She's really forcing him into a situation that he's clearly not comfortable with. They've been flirting for a while. It's not completely clear that they're dating. I guess that they're not dating according to this episode. The series also ends on them sharing an uncomfortable kiss. It's the very last scene of the entire thing. I cannot stand how long they linger on these two probably underaged people kissing. It's very, very weird because they're like laying down on a hospital bed when it happens. Then there's the couple of Slam and Jade. They're not really a couple. There's no real chemistry there at all of any kind. But there's one episode in particular where they're all at the nightclub that Angelica was at, which just keeps bringing up the question, how old are these people? Like, I'm pretty sure that this is a high school they're attending, a dance-centric high school, but then they all go on ski trips together. They're just doing way too much for teenagers. Like, they kind of split it down the middle. Like, yeah, they're teenagers with teenager responsibilities, but whenever it fits the narrative, they're also grown adults who don't have to ask their parents about anything. But there's one episode in particular where they're all at the nightclub. Slam gets jealous that Jade's dancing with some guy. They have had no romantic tension up until this point. He just gets butthurt about her being like, yeah, I'm having fun dancing. And you'd think, as a dancer, he would understand that dancing with somebody doesn't mean you're romantically involved with them. In fact, he should be very cool about this. But no, he's so upset that Jade is dancing with some random guy for like 2 minutes. He goes over there and he gets all like macho alpha male about it, and that causes the whole drama for the episode. Then we have Queen Skyla, who is the most unfortunate, tragic, romantic character in the entire thing. Queen Skyla, as I've mentioned before, lost her husband when he did a stupid death spiral move.
A death spin will mean destruction for both of us!
To kill his brother. And he left her the Sky Swirl Stone, and for the rest of the series, like, we get 3 or 4 episodes that are just dedicated to how lonely and sad she is. Yes, wonderful, brilliant for this show aimed at 6-year-olds. They really love that sad widow energy. In one episode, they tell us that King Skylar is not dead. He's trapped in some other world, plane of existence or something, and she's like, I'll find you one day, my love, I promise. And all of the Sky Dancers are like, yeah, we'll help you get back together with him. They never do. It never comes up again. In fact, I think that's the last time King Skylar gets mentioned in any serious regard. Skyclone decides to dress up as his deceased brother with some kind of magic, a potion maybe, and she is so desperate for her husband to come back, she doesn't even question how this happened or why. She's just like, what, you don't believe that my husband could come back to me? Angelica's the only one who doesn't bend, and she's like, no, that's absolutely not your husband. Skyla's like, you know what? I guess we weren't ever friends. Bye. And it takes like a convoluted act of subterfuge on Angelica's part to prove that this is in fact Skyclone. Then we have the dumpster fire that is Camille's love life.
Let's see the D! All right, you want to see the D? You got it!
So, the first time Camille ever gets introduced as like having a love interest of any kind, it's in an episode where she's thought up a new dance and everybody's so enamored with it. Queen Skyla's like, oh, you have to come to the Sky Realm and teach it to my subjects. While this is going on, Skyclone is dealing with a shapeshifter. We never figure out why the shapeshifter's there, where he came from, what his goals or wants are, but we do know that his name is Gorp. So Gorp's whole deal is he is a fleshy, slimy, cloud shape-shifting creature. You know, there's something to this character. If this were a longer running show, I would have liked to see Gorp come back because I really wanted to know what they thought they would do with this character. He's interesting in all the wrong ways. But Gorp decides that he's in love with Camille. This revelation comes out of absolutely nowhere. Presumably it's because she looked beautiful dancing, and they danced together, and Camille catches on pretty fast that he's like a shape-shifting cloud demon of some kind. But she's kind of into that. So she's like, I like you, Gorp. Now you just need to like yourself.
I like you, Gorp. And now that you know that, maybe you can learn to like yourself.
That kind of snaps him out of the whole thing. This episode that this happens in does deliver the funniest bit in the entire show.
Grandfather? But you're dead.
Your grandmother sends this from the world where we dwell.
I don't know who you are, but you're talking out of the side of your neck. Grandmother dwells in Chicago, and I just spoke to her yesterday.
Gorp transforms into Breeze's Native American grandfather. How he knows who Breeze's grandfather is, what he looks like, or even what a Native American is completely up in the air, because presumably the Sky Kingdom and Earth have no intersection. Camille has one other love interest in the entire thing, and it's really sad, and it really makes me feel bad for her. Because this episode is not about Camille finding love. No. It's about weight shaming her. Camille gets dumped in this episode before the episode even really starts. And the girls find her and she's crying because the boy that she just went on a date with doesn't want to date her anymore. And you know what? Fine, fair enough. But then the guys in the group decide to go confront him about why he doesn't want to date her. And I get it. Getting dumped sucks. No one likes it. But your friends should never be sent to go confront whoever dumped you, because that's not really any of their business. Camille is feeling sad and like she doesn't really want to try anymore. I get it. Sometimes you just gotta be down. Sometimes you just gotta eat your feelings. There's nothing wrong with that in the short term. But because she's just snacking on some chips before dance class, everybody's like poking fun at her weight and saying she eats too much. And then she messes up the dance routine, and it's implied that it's because she's been eating too much. But the thing is, her character model still looks like a thin, athletic person who dances all the time. They make such a big deal about how much she's eating in this episode, but it has nothing to do with anything else that's going on. Poor Camille. She gets the short end of the stick the entire time. She gets dumped by Captain Sweater Vest, and her actual love interest is a, like, gooey cloud shapeshifter that we never see again. And then there's Sky Clone. Let's be real, he doesn't care about romance at all. He wants Queen Skyla, but I get the feeling that it's more the fact that his younger brother who ascended to the throne married her, and it's more of like a status thing in his mind. He has his own fiancée before he's exiled. Her young design is cute, don't really care for her older design. He doesn't seem to care one way or the other about romance. He's just out for power, and I can kind of respect that in a way. Maybe if he worked on his own looks a little bit. And I'm not talking about his weight, even though he's the roundest character in the entire thing, and I get the feeling that this show that's about dancers is trying to not so subtly say something about people who have extra weight.
Disgusting. How can any creature bear to exist in a bloated body like this?
But, you know, maybe if he wasn't green, or didn't have the worst eyeshadow job I've ever seen.
Well, how do I look?
Big and green? Well, women go for that, right?
Like, we've seen his father and his brother in this. We know for a fact what's going on around his eyes isn't genetic. He is not styling himself like he's out on the prowl looking for ladies. His whole look kind of suggests that romance is not his #1 priority. Thank you so much for watching this far. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, fourth option, and that pretty much does it for me. Peace out.